Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Great Debaters Contest. This is the Nyeri edition, and I am your host, Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Today we discuss Sustainable Development Goal number 13 on climate change. Is climate change the single greatest threat to our existence? Muruguru girls versus Leshau boys. Let's have these teams go head to head now. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Nature is very unforgiving. So if anything goes wrong, never blame nature. A quote from one of the greatest professors, the late Professor Wangari Maathai. Am I here to propose or to oppose? Climate refers to the average weather conditions over a period of time which have been studied for at least 30 years. What about climate change? Climate change are the variations in these weather conditions which have been studied for a period of 30 to 35 years. If we say that climate change is not going to be the single biggest threat facing our existence, then we would be very wrong, because it is the only biggest threat facing our existence. Take an example. In the northern region, or is it that many people are dying? This is just because of one thing: there's starvation and there's drought. So if we want to achieve the second sustainable development goal, which is zero hunger, it means the climate has to change. It also causes death, as I have said, due to starvation and hunger. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joseph Karemi from Leshau Boys High School. Thank you.
Opposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first underline the name climate change. And climate change can be defined as the establishment of a new climatic state or continuous changes in climatic states such as temperature and precipitation. Climate change is the single biggest threat facing our existence. I don't think that is the biggest threat. I think it is a threat, but not the biggest. Let me first state that according to IndianExpress.com, it states that 130 Russian teenagers have died due to an online game called the Blue Whale Game Challenge, rather. The challenge instructs you to do 50 challenges, and then after that, the last challenge is killing yourself. That is a threat bigger than climate change. Terrorism. It has killed immense people. For example, in Nairobi, the US Embassy killed 290 people while killed. In the Twin Tower in the US, killed were over 4,000 people. Also, diseases have killed very many people, especially HIV and cancer, due to the lifestyle that we are living right now. Is it climate change a threat? Is climate change a threat? Just like these people who are dying, very many people are dying, teenagers are dying, they may help us in future. People are dying due to terrorism, diseases, while climate change is, by the way, gradual. Glaciers melting, that is gradual and can be changed. Unlike, let's say, a road accident, which is instant. And that's why I am stating that climate change is the threat, but not the single biggest threat. I'm Alice Geshohe, Muruguru Girls. Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear cross-examinations now, beginning with the gentleman. You have 3 minutes.
Deforestation leads to desertification. Hence, climate change. Waroi Oliver from Leshau Boys High School, proposing the motion, climate change is the single biggest threat facing our existence. We come with the point of drought. Drought may be caused by climate change due to deforestation, which causes desertification. For example, when it comes to the area around the northern part of Africa, where the Sahara Desert is located, existence of human beings there is not conducive. That is, the temperatures in the area are not conducive for life existence there. Flood in Budalangi, for example, has displaced more than 600 people who are living in camps. In August 2007, there was a flood in Budalangi which caused displacement of 600 people who lived in camps. This left the people without latrines and clean water. Hence, there were waterborne diseases. School closed after being submerged. You remember the case, I guess everyone knows about the situation. Then there were 660 pupils moving to safer schools due to the displacement and submerging of the schools. Then I come to the perspective of my opposers, who argue that climate change is not the single biggest threat facing our existence. They propose that the major threat causing our inexistence is the climate change. This is because we have come across Kenya, though it is not a climate change because it has taken about less than 3 months. But when it comes to Sahara Desert, the change is noticeable. Hence, I argue that climate change is the single biggest threat facing our existence.
Ladies, we'll hear your rebuttal. You also have 3 minutes.
From the enchanting land of Muruguru girls, Mangi Elizabeth opposing the motion that states, climate change is the biggest threat facing our existence. In the recent past, drought has been one of the things affecting our country, Kenya. But if you compare how many people dying during that drought due to starvation compared to animals and human life, between animals and human life, which one is more important? Look at the nuclear threats that have been threatened to us in the world. Look at the Chernobyl disaster where land became inhabitable. Over 5,000 people died and many others were displaced. This affected the people both genetically and even socially. North Korea threatened the US for a nuclear war. This is going to humiliate the world, since you all know that the US supports most of our countries. Look at things like road accidents. Over 3,000 people died due to road accidents in our country. In 1 year, very many accidents happened. How many accidents happened in the Nakuru-Eldoret roads? In the Tanzanian roads, every year, more than 5,000 people die due to road accidents. This was stated in the Standard Nation on 8 May 2017. The GSU soldiers were killed in Naivasha, and even their bodies could not be recognized in the accident that happened in the Naivasha road. Look at wars. The other day, Pope Francis was in Egypt, where he was solving the case where there were cases about the inter-religions fight. More than 40 people died in that war. In Syria, a war is still continuing, and about 1 million people have died and other 2 million displaced. This makes them live a very miserable life. Look at the terrorism. In the 2007-2008 post-violence, more than 2,600 people died, and this caused problems in our country, Kenya, where we got IDPs, and this led to poverty in their lives. Therefore, my dear audience, join me as we say that climate change is not the biggest threat facing our existence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The proposers have been asked what they meant when they said that the Sahara Desert has no population, and the opposition have been asked how the potential defeat of the US by, say, the North Koreans ties in with the motion and with climate change. We'll have them respond to those queries. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Simon Jeroge, proposing the motion that says climate change is the single biggest threat facing our existence. Let's look this one in this perspective. One, in the year 2007, that was in the month of August, there was food insecurity. It destroyed and left over 300,000 people in Kenya at risk of suffering food insecurity. Why did this one happen? We have the development of industries. These industries, they release poisonous gases in the atmosphere. After the ozone layer gets destroyed, we have the ultraviolet sun rays, which are not favorable for human beings and crops. So our crops are destroyed, and also many people are left with skin diseases, such as skin cancer. To my opposers, you had a question. Are there people in the desert? I have a question to ask you. Do you think we can have people in the desert, whereas we are saying that climate change is the biggest threat? And this threat, why don't we have people in the desert? Because one, we've no vegetation. And one is, if you've no vegetation, how are we going to depend? What are we going to feed on? The other question was, between a human being and an animal life, which one is more important? I pose this question to you. Do you rely on animals to get your daily food? The other one is, okay, again, in the year 2007, August, 600 people were displaced from their camps. Why did this one happen? Because one, we have these industries. And industries, because of the development of industries, they are getting back into our forests, cutting down trees, thus leading to desertification. My friends, join me as we say, climate change is the single biggest threat facing our existence. Thank you.
Ladies, we'll hear your response to the audience. You have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries people of our country, Kenya, may I make it clear to my opponents and tell them that animal life is not important than human life. Let me ask you this question. Al-Shabaab appeared here today, all to your home, and you are asked, between you and your neighbor's cow, which life should be taken? Think about that. May I quote what the proposer said? Nature is not to be blamed. Then why do you have to blame climate changes? And in addition to that, I don't disagree that climate change is a big threat, but it is not the biggest. To me, I think that climate change is a direction of life. How? Wow, creation of jobs. It's during the summer. I need to relax. I need some ice cream. Whew, I need that. In addition to that, during the cold season, we need hot jackets. And may I state this? If you don't like something, you can change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude toward it. You talked about deforestation, but you know what? We can reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in our environment by doing what? Planting trees. Do that and see how it comes to that. And in addition to that, I think the Boko Haram terrorists, not human beings, because they are so heartless. And they killed over 20,000 people since 2009. Where have you heard that climate killed over 20,000 people? Food for thought. Thank you, Nyambura Karanja from the enchanting Muruguru Girls.
We'll hear closing statements now. We'll start with the proposition. You have a minute.
Climate change is the greatest effect that leads to our inexistence. We have found that the drought that is here in Africa in some parts, such as the Sahara Desert, leading to inhabitation in those areas, then floods effects caused by a lot of rainfall occurring at a different time and in different places, such as the Budalangi, which affects economically, socially, and somehow politically. Then there is the excess UV radiation rays, which also affect our skin due to the climate change. Then we sum it all by saying climate change is the greatest effect that leads to our inexistence, and we join hands together saying that it is the greatest effect leading to our inexistence. Thank you.
Ladies, you have a minute for your final submission.
A product of Muruguru Girls, Nyambura Karanja, I'm back once again. I said that I do not disagree that climate change is a threat, but it's not the biggest. We will not just sit down and wait to see the accidents, the terrorists, and everything that is taking place in our country just because of the name climate changes. Let me ask you, and I'll just say it again and again and again. Have you ever heard that 20,000 people have been killed because of climate change? No, I've never. In most cases, I hear of animals, not people. And I'd like to tell this to the proposers. Kindly pick your seats, join us, and oppose the motion that states climate change is the single biggest threat facing our existence, because it's not the biggest. Nyambura Karanja, Muruguru Girls. Thank you.
To you, Leshau boys, who are proposing the motion. Joseph, let me start with you. You know, you started off very well. You know, you defined the motion of the terms. My expectations were risen up. You know, very confident. But what I would want to tell you is that you need to work on your mastery of language, and you underutilized your time, and for that you're penalized. Oliver, you want to work on yourself a lot. Why? Because you have stage fright. When you came, you sort of even was a bit casual. You would pause and say, hold on, wait. And then look at it again. This is a debate. You want to maximize your 3 minutes, for heaven's sake. And everybody's looking at you and waiting. Okay? So you need to practice a lot. It doesn't mean that you don't have what it takes. You have what it takes. All you need to do is do some extra practice. Simon, practice, practice, practice as well. All right? When you come to answer the question, don't ask more questions. You're there to answer the question. So shoot it straight forward first when you come there.
Muruguru Girls, Alice, you started off very well. You gave us definitions of the terms, which was good. Unfortunately, I think you also had a disconnect between the introduction and the continuation of your motion. Elizabeth, there is a place I also noted. You said that somewhere land has become inevitable. I believe you wanted to say inhabitable. So let us choose our words very well. And choice of prepositions, I have noted through the debaters. let us work on improving our use of prepositions. Prepositions are very, very important, and we cannot, sometimes they even change the meaning of what you wanted to say. Nyambura, you are a strong debater. I am glad you are the one that summarized the debate for your side. You engaged the audience very well, which I think was a plus for your side. All the best to the teams.
Oliver, you were a bit disjointed. The preparedness was not convincing from the way you did. Simon, remember that you needed to start with answering the question that had been answered. And in fact, it is not the opposers who had asked, it is the audience. It sounded kind of combative towards the opposers. Muruguru, you did fairly well. I thought, Alice, you had started well with the definitions. Fairly statistical illustrations, but again, on time you went down. Elizabeth, you did it fairly well. Nyambura, I saw a lot of confidence in you, and in fact, you're able to move the crowd. Let's just prepare. Always let us prepare as a team. Thank you.
Muruguru girls, you garnered 65%. Please give them a warm round of applause. Your opponents, Leshau boys, garnered 57%, making Muruguru girls the winners of this debate.
We'd like to thank the two teams on stage, our studio audience, and our viewers back home. Please stay watching. We'd also like to shout out Blaze Safaricom and urge you to keep watching the Great Debaters Contest. I am Austin Nyumbok.
I am Mariam Bishar. Thank you for watching.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.